My name is Lila Bennett. I'm 30 years old. 7 days before my wedding, I found out my own mother had canceled every single vendor. The flowers, the catering, the venue, and told my fiancé that I was damaged goods. And he was making the biggest mistake of his life. On our wedding day, 200 guests arrived to an empty lot. But my maid of honor had seen this coming 6 months ago. What she planned and what my mother walked into changed everything. Before we begin, if you enjoy this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly feel it. And tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are right now? Now let me take you back to 8 months ago, the night. Connor got down on one knee in our kitchen, and the phone call from my mother that came 11 minutes later. Connor proposes on a Tuesday evening. No fancy restaurant, no ring hidden in dessert. He just stands in our tiny kitchen in Willow Creek, Georgia, holding a ring he saved 7 months for and says, "I don't have a speech. I just know I want every morning to start with you." I say yes before he finishes the sentence. We sit on the kitchen floor afterward, my back against the cabinets, his arm around my shoulder, and I keep turning my hand under the light, watching the small diamond catch it. For 11 minutes, the world is exactly right. Then my phone rings. Mom. I pick up, still smiling. Lila. But Connor, just where are you having it? No congratulations, no gasp, no, "Oh, honey, the wedding," she says. Where's the venue? I need to know now. I glance at Connor. He tilts his head, listening. We haven't decided anything yet, Mom. He literally just... Well, you need to start deciding. These things book out a year in advance. I'll handle the calls. I should explain something. My whole life. Every decision I've ever made has passed through my mother first. Which college? Which major? Which apartment? When my father died, I was 19. She pulled me close at the funeral and whispered, "It's just us now. You're all I have." And from that day, saying no to her felt like abandoning a widow. So when I tell her we want to plan it ourselves, she goes quiet. 4 seconds. I count them. "Fine," she says. "I understand. You don't need me anymore." My chest tightens. The old guilt, the one she installed like software when I was a child, boots up instantly. "No, Mom, of course I need you. I want you to help." I hear her exhale, satisfied. Connor watches me from across the kitchen. He doesn't say anything, but his jaw shifts just slightly, the way it does when he's holding something back. I didn't know it then, but that phone call was the first move in a game my mother had been waiting to play. 3 months after the engagement, my mother has taken over everything. It happens gradually, the way water rises in a basement. By the time you notice, it's already at your ankles. First, she offers to make a few calls to vendors because I'm busy teaching 3rd grade. Then she starts showing up to tastings without telling me. Then she changes my contact info on the florist's account to her own number. I wanted wildflowers, sunflowers, lavender. Baby's breath, loose and messy and alive. My mother orders white roses for elegance. She says, "You'll thank me. I wanted BBQ, pulled pork, cornbread. Can't serve barbecue at a wedding, Lila. People will talk." I wanted the seating chart to put Connor's family up front. She rearranges it so her friends fill the first 4 rows. When I push back, gently, the only way I know how, she cries right there in our living room, dabbing her eyes with a tissue she already had in her hand. "I'm just trying to make this beautiful for you. Your father would have wanted it this way." And I fold every time. Connor starts spending longer hours in his workshop. He doesn't complain, but I catch him standing at his workbench sometimes, not building anything, just staring at the wall. One evening, Jenna, my maid of honor, my best friend since 8th grade, comes over for the first rehearsal dinner planning. She watches my mother rearrange the centerpiece samples I'd chosen, replacing everyone. Jenna doesn't say anything to Marlene, but later at the door she grabs my arm. "I need you to trust me on something. Don't ask questions yet." I laugh nervously. "What do you mean?" She just squeezes my hand and leaves. I didn't understand, not then. 2 months before the wedding, my mother invites Connor to lunch. Just the 2 of them. She says it's to talk family things. I think it's a good sign. But Connor comes home that afternoon and sits down across from me at the kitchen table. He folds his hands. He's careful with his words. He always is. But I can see the tension in his shoulders. "Your mother told me you had a breakdown in college." My stomach drops. She used the phrase damaged goods. I stare at him. The room tilts. She said, "My daughter needs someone who can handle her." "Can you really?" I open my mouth, but nothing comes out because yes. After my father died, I went through a dark stretch my sophomore year. I saw a counselor. I worked through it. It wasn't a secret, but it wasn't ammunition either. My mother turned it into ammunition. "What did you say?" I whisper. Connor looks at me steadily. I said, "I don't see damage. I see someone who survived you." Something cracks open in my chest. Not pain, something warmer. "She left after that," he says. Didn't finish her iced tea. 20 minutes later, my phone rings. "Mom." Connor disrespected me at lunch. "Mom, he's isolating you from your family, Lila. That's what men like him do. Carpenters, blue collar, no ambition. He builds furniture with his hands. Mom, your father was an accountant. Dad is gone." Silence, then very quietly. "Don't you dare throw that at me." She hangs up. I sit in the kitchen holding my phone, caught between two versions of the truth, my mother's where she's protecting me, and the real one where she's trying to make sure I never leave. I didn't know it yet, but this was only the first step in her plan. I'm just repeating what she said. She called Lila emotionally volatile. I watch Connor's face. His expression doesn't change, but a muscle near his temple tightens. "Mom," he says, "Lila saw a counselor after her dad died." That's it. Marlene is twisting it. Gloria pauses. "I believe you, honey." But she was very convincing. She cried. Of course she cried. After Connor hangs up, he turns to me. For the first time, I see something in his eyes that isn't patience. It's clarity. "Your mother is not trying to protect you, Lila. She's trying to own you." I know he's right. I've known for years, maybe, but hearing it out loud in our kitchen on a Saturday morning with sunlight spilling across the floor. It sounds different, and it sounds true. "Don't fight with your mom over this," I tell him. That's exactly what she wants. He nods, but his jaw is set. That night, lying in bed, I realize something. My mother isn't just trying to stop a wedding. She's trying to dismantle every relationship I have, one phone call at a time, and she's running out of people to call. Here's what nobody tells you about weddings. The money disappears before the first dance starts. Connor and I have saved for 3 years. $18,000, pulled from teacher paychecks and early carpentry commissions, skipped vacations, a used car instead of a new one, every dollar earmarked. Florist, $2,200, caterer, $4,800 venue, deposit, $3,500 DJ, photographer, rentals, cake, the rest fills in fast. Most of those vendors have a 30-day cancellation policy. We're now inside that window. If the wedding doesn't happen, we lose almost everything. And I sit at the kitchen table one evening with our budget spreadsheet open on my laptop. Connor's across from me, sanding a chair, leg by hand because the noise of the power sander bothers our neighbor's dog. "If we had to walk away right now," I say, "how much do we lose?" He doesn't look up. "Most of it." "We can't afford to lose most of it." "I know. $18,000. 3 years of packing lunch instead of buying it. 3 years of Connor working weekends. That money was supposed to be our start. A down payment fund, a safety net, a future. And right now it's sitting in contracts controlled by a woman who thinks my happiness is a threat to hers. I close the laptop. I press my palms against my eyes. If I don't do something, I say, more to myself than to Connor, I lose the money. I lose face in front of 200 people. I lose your mother's trust. I lower my hands, and I lose myself. Connor puts down the sandpaper. "You won't lose me." "I know. Then we figure it out." I nod. But sitting there in the quiet of our kitchen, I think this is the bottom. This is as bad as it gets. I was wrong. 7 days before the wedding, a Monday. I'm grading papers at my desk during lunch when I decide to call the florist. Just a quick confirmation routine. The phone rings twice. "Magnolia Florals, this is Dawn." "Hi, Dawn, it's Lila Bennett. Just checking in on our order for Saturday." A pause. Too long. "Ma'am, that order was canceled 3 days ago." The pencil in my hand stops moving. "Excuse me?" "Your mother called. She said the wedding was off." I hang up. My fingers are shaking, but I dial the caterer. "Miss Bennett?" Yes, we received the cancellation Thursday. Your mother said. I hang up again. I call the venue. I'm sorry. Miss Bennett. Mrs. Marlene Bennett called and canceled the reservation. She said the family had decided. I don't let her finish. I sit at my desk staring at my phone, and I feel the ground beneath me dissolve. Not crack. Dissolve, like sand under a wave. I call my mother. She picks up on the first ring as if she's been waiting. Mom, you canceled my wedding. I canceled a mistake. That was not your decision. Everything about you is my decision, Lila. I grip the edge of my desk. I raised you, she says, her voice flat and even. I fed you. I buried your father alone. This wedding, it's mine to give or take. Something shifts inside me. Not anger, not yet. Something colder. Something that has been sleeping for 30 years and just opened its eyes. No, I say. It isn't. I hang up. My hands are still shaking. But my voice was steady. And that surprises me more than anything my mother just said. The room is very quiet. 22 third graders are at recess, and I'm sitting alone with the wreckage. I don't remember driving home. What I remember is the kitchen floor, the cold of the tile through my dress, the way the afternoon light made a rectangle on the wall that moved so slowly it felt like time had thickened. I'm not crying. That's the strange part. I'm just sitting there, my back against the dishwasher, my bag still on my shoulder, staring at nothing. Connor finds me like that when he comes in from the workshop, sawdust on his forearms. He looks at me and doesn't ask what happened yet. He just sits down next to me on the floor, close enough that our shoulders touch. 10 minutes pass, maybe 15. The refrigerator hums. She canceled everything, I say finally. Every vendor, all of them. He doesn't flinch. When? 3 days ago. Behind my back. His hand finds mine. His palm is rough and warm. She told me this morning it was hers to give or take. I say the wedding. Our wedding. She said it belongs to her. Connor is quiet for a moment. Yes, then we'll figure this out. 7 days, Connor. No florist, no caterer, no venue, no money for replacements. I know. My mother wants me to fail. The sentence sits in the room like a living thing. The first time I've ever said it out loud. Connor pulls out his phone. I'm calling Jenna. He dials. Jenna picks up. Connor gives her the short version. Vendors canceled. Marlene responsible. 7 days. Jenna listens. I can hear the silence on her end. Not the silence of shock. Hook call. Connor and I look at each other. Don't call any vendor, Jenna says. Don't call your mother. I need 48 hours. Contract. Elmwood Garden Estate, a private garden property 12 minutes from downtown Willow Creek. Owned by a woman named June Whitfield, a friend of Jenna's from event planning. Though the contract is signed in Rachel's name, dated 6 months ago. A $2,000 deposit. Jenna's own money. You spent your own money? My voice cracks. You do the same for me? I look at the date on the contract. 6 months. She started this the same week my mother took over the vendor calls. Jenna saw it coming before I did. Before anyone did. Connor leans against the counter, arms crossed. He's staring at Jenna like she just walked through a wall. I didn't do this because I hate your mother, Jenna says. I did this because I love you. I don't have words. I just have tears. And for the first time in months, they're not the sad kind. Jenna flips through the folder like a general briefing a war room. Florist. Sandy's blooms out of Carterville. Wildflowers, sunflowers, lavender. She looks at me. Exactly what you originally wanted. I press my hand over my mouth. Caterer, Big Jim Smokehouse. Pulled pork, cornbread, brisket, sweet tea, and mason jars. Connor lets out a short laugh. The first one I've heard from him in weeks. DJ is my friend Marcus. Photographer, my coworker Lena. She shoots weddings on the side. Total backup cost, $500. I've covered it. You pay me back whenever. I shake my head. Jenna, that's not negotiable, she finishes, moving on. Guest list. I pulled the original list you shared with me. When you first got engaged, before your mother took over communications. All 200 names, phone numbers, emails. I have a separate contact database for every single one. She explains the plan. The morning of the wedding. She'll send a mass text and make personal calls to the 15 most important guests. Connor's family, my Uncle Tom, closest friends. The message venue has been upgraded, new address. Arrive by 3 p.m. She'll frame it as a surprise. And my mother? I ask. Jenna meets my eyes. She gets the original address. Only the original address. The room goes quiet. I also called someone else, Jenna says, her voice careful now. Maggie Coulter, WRDG-TV. The local interest piece. Best friend saves wedding. A community love story. Maggie doesn't know the details about your mom. She just knows it's a feel-good segment. I hesitate. A camera crew feels like a step I can't take back. Jenna reads my face. You don't have to decide now. But Lila, your mother put this on Facebook. Yeah, she made it public first. This is just the truth catching up. Part of me feels guilty. The other part, the part my mother had been silencing for 30 years, feels something I haven't felt in a long time. Relief. I don't sleep that night. I lie in bed, Connor breathing slow and steady beside me. And I run the film of my life backward. Every birthday my mother made about herself. The year she announced her hip surgery at my suite, 16. Every achievement she diminished. Teaching is nice, but it's not a career. Every boyfriend she drove away before Connor, calling each one not good enough until I believed I was the problem. And my father, the last thing he ever said to me, 3 days before the heart attack, standing at the kitchen sink in the house I grew up in. Don't let anyone shrink you, Lila, not even me. I didn't understand then. I think I do now. At 6 a.m., I call Jenna. Let's do it. You're sure? I'm sure. Good, I'll activate everything today. I hang up and make one more call. Uncle Tom, my father's younger brother, retired Army, manages a warehouse in the next town over. He's been in my life since birth, but keeps his distance from my mother's orbit. Smart man. Uncle Tom, I need to ask you something. Shoot. Will you walk me down the aisle? The line goes quiet. I hear him clear his throat. When he speaks, his voice is rough. Your daddy would be so proud, Lila. I press the phone to my chest after we hang up. I sit on the edge of the bed and breathe. Here is what I do not do. I do not call my mother. I do not explain. I do not beg. I do not negotiate. For the first time in 30 years, I choose silence. Not the silence of submission. The silence of someone who has finally decided. 4 days until the wedding and my mother still thinks she's won. I've thought about it a lot since then. Why my mother did what she did. Was it hate? Was it fear? Was it something broken inside her that couldn't stand to see me whole? I still don't have a perfect answer, but I'm curious. If you found out your own mother had canceled your entire wedding, what would you do? Would you confront her? Would you go silent like I did? Would you do something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. I'd really like to know. And now back to 4 days before the wedding. 4 days before the wedding, a Thursday. I'm standing in the hallway outside my classroom at Willow Creek Elementary, refilling my water bottle at the fountain when I hear her voice. Not on the phone this time. In person, in my building. I'm here to check on my daughter. I look up. My mother is standing at the end of the hallway, speaking to the front desk volunteer loud enough for every open classroom door to hear. She's been unstable. I'm worried she'll have another episode. Mrs. Patterson, the 5th grade teacher, steps into her doorway. Mr. Gaines, the custodian, freezes mid-sweep. 2 parents waiting for a pickup conference turn to stare. My face goes white. I can feel it drain, blood leaving like someone pulled a plug. I walk toward her. Steady steps. My sneakers squeak on the linoleum. Mom, this is my workplace. Please leave. She pivots to face me and her expression shifts. Hurt, wounded, trembling chin. The front desk volunteer steps forward gently but firmly. Ma'am, I'll need to ask you to step outside. My mother looks around the hallway at the staring faces, the half-open doors, and squares her shoulders. You'll see, she says, walking toward the exit. Everyone will see. The door closes behind her. The hallway slowly unstiffens. As Mr. Gaines resumes sweeping, Mrs. Patterson gives me a small, helpless shrug. Then a hand touches my elbow. Mrs. Daniels, 62, taught at this school for 30 years, reading glasses on a beaded chain. She leans close. Honey, my mother was the same. Don't let her win. 5 words from a near stranger, and they hold me up for the rest of the day. My mother invented a medical crisis and posted it to 800 people in a town where everyone knows everyone's middle name. My hands are shaking. Jenna looks over, reads the screenshot, and her expression doesn't change. She's past shock. She's in operational mode. I saw it 20 minutes ago, she says. 800 people. Jenna, I know. She's telling the whole town I'm mentally ill. Jenna takes the phone from my hand. Not roughly. like a nurse removing something that's hurting a patient. Don't respond. Tomorrow the truth will speak for itself. Connor calls from our house. He saw it too. I'll drive over. Stay, I say. I'm okay. I'm with Jenna. You sure? I'm sure. He pauses. No more screens tonight, Lila. I agree. Jenna takes my phone and puts it in a kitchen drawer. She makes chamomile tea. We sit on her couch, not talking much, just breathing in the same room. I lie in Jenna's guest bed that night, eyes open, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow circles. Tomorrow will be different. I'm not scared anymore. Something has shifted quietly, like a key turning in a lock. For the first time, I can see clearly, more clearly than I've ever seen in my life. Saturday morning, wedding day. 8 a.m. I wake up in Jenna's guest room to the sound of her already on the phone. Yes, ma'am. Venue upgrade. Surprise for the bride and groom. And new address is Elmwood Garden Estate. 412 Whitfield Lane. Arrive by 3 p.m. Don't. Go to the original address. She's pacing her living room in sweatpants and a headset. A printed spreadsheet in her hand with 200 names. Each one highlighted in yellow, green, or red. Yellow mass text sent. Green, confirmed. Red, needs a personal call. By 8 a.m. she's made 15 calls. Gloria Cole confirmed. Uncle Tom confirmed. Connor's cousin Danny, his Aunt Margaret. The Hendersons from next door, my coworker Jenny. Mrs. Daniels, confirmed. By 10 a.m., 197 out of 200 guests have confirmed the new location. 3 can't attend. 1 has a sick child, 2 are traveling. None are related to my mother's sabotage. 1 person is not on the contact list at all. Marlene Bennett receives no text, no call, no new address. As far as she knows, the wedding is at the original venue, the one she canceled. The empty lot. At noon, I put on my dress in Jenna's bedroom. It's simple, ivory, tea-length, lace sleeves. I bought it at a consignment shop in Atlanta. $60. My mother called it secondhand embarrassment. I call it mine. Uncle Tom arrives at 1:30 p.m. He's wearing a gray suit, polished shoes, eyes already red. He sees me and stops in the doorway. Lord, Lila, you look like your daddy on his wedding day. Stubborn and beautiful. Jenna checks her watch, checks her list, looks at me. Ready? I smooth my dress. I take a breath. I've been ready for 30 years. For the first time, my wedding feels like mine. Elmwood Garden Estate sits at the end of a gravel lane lined with pecan trees. There's a white wooden gate, open wide. Beyond it, a rolling lawn edged with wildflower beds, sunflowers, lavender, baby's breath. The flowers I chose. The flowers my mother erased. Jenna brought them back. Fairy lights are strung between 2 ancient live oaks, swaying just enough to make the light shimmer. Wooden chairs line a center aisle, chairs Connor built himself over the last year. One every weekend stacked in his workshop where I thought he was just staying busy. He was building our wedding without me knowing. The BBQ pit is already going. Big Jim himself in his denim apron tends the smoker. Pulled pork, cornbread, sweet tea, and mason jars, just like I dreamed. Guests start arriving at 2:30, almost. Every one of them stops when they step through the gate. Some press their hands to their chests. Some laugh in disbelief. Mrs. Henderson whispers to her husband, "This is better than the original." Gloria Cole walks in, sees the wildflowers, sees the hand-built chairs, sees the fairy lights catching the Georgia afternoon sun. She finds me near the garden trellis and wraps her arms around me. Tight. Real. This is what your wedding was always supposed to look like. Maggie Coulter from WRDG-TV arrives quietly with her cameraman. They set up off to the side, unobtrusive, professional. Jenna briefs them. A heartwarming story about friendship and community. That's all they need to know for now. Old Mrs. Freeman, my neighbor since childhood, 81 years old, Sunday hat and all, finds me and takes both my hands. Your daddy is watching, sweetheart. I know it. I believe her. 200 chairs, 197 guests, and the only person missing is the one who tried to make sure none of this would exist. Through-eyed, the afternoon light turns gold. Uncle Tom takes my arm at the end of the aisle. His grip is firm, military firm, but his hand is trembling. Slow steps, he murmurs. Make it count. The music starts. Not a grand orchestral piece, just a guitar. Jenna's friend Caleb sitting on a stool under the live oak, playing a finger-picked version of the song Connor and I danced to on our first date in his workshop. Sawdust still on the floor. I step forward. 197 faces turn. Some are smiling. Some are already crying. Gloria. Cole holds a tissue to her nose. Mrs. Daniels nods at me from the third row. Small. Steady, certain. Connor stands at the end of the aisle. His hands are clasped in front of him. His eyes are red and he's not hiding it. He's never hidden anything from me. As Uncle Tom delivers me to Connor, he shakes his hand and says, "Take care of her or answer to me." Connor nods. "Yes, sir." The officiant, Connor's college friend David, ordained online last month specifically for this, keeps it simple. Short. Readings, no sermon. Then the vows. Connor goes first. His voice breaks once on the word home. My turn. I don't read from a card. I look at him and say what I've been holding for months. I choose you, not because I need to be saved, but because I finally know I deserve to be loved without conditions. The garden goes quiet, even the birds, it seems. I don't need permission to be happy. Not from anyone, not anymore. Connor's hand finds mine. The officiant pronounces us married. We kiss under the live oaks and the fairy lights sway, and 197 people rise to their feet. The sound of their applause fills the garden like a wave, and somewhere 12 minutes away, an empty lot waits in silence. Sweetness of barbecue drifting through the Georgia air, and she parks. She walks to the gate. Her heels sink slightly into the gravel. A man is standing at the entrance. Kyle, Jenna's friend, 6'2", calm-faced, holding a clipboard. He's been briefed. "Good afternoon, ma'am. May I see your invitation?" My mother straightens. "I'm the mother of the bride." Kyle looks down at his list. He scans it carefully, top to bottom. He looks up. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Your name isn't on the guest list." My mother stares at him. Her mouth opens, then closes. "There must be a mistake." "No mistake, ma'am. I've checked twice." Through the gate, she can see the chairs, the wildflowers, the mason jars, the guests laughing. She can see the back of my dress. She can see Connor's arm around my waist. Everything she tried to destroy is right there, alive and whole and glowing. And there is a gate between her and it, and a man with a clipboard, and her name nowhere on the list. "I understand this is difficult," Kyle says gently, "but I can only allow listed guests." For the first time in her life, my mother is on the outside of a door she can't open, and the key is not in her hands. She doesn't leave quietly. I piece this together from Maggie Coulter's footage, which I watch only once. 2 weeks later, and never again. My mother's voice rises. First measured, then sharp, then raw. "This is my daughter's wedding. I am her. Mother." Kyle doesn't move. He keeps his hands clasped in front of him and his expression neutral. He's been trained for this. Jenna thought of everything. "Ma'am, I understand, but I'm not authorized." I gave birth to her. Several guests near the gate turn their heads. Connor's Aunt Margaret whispers something to the person next to her. Mrs. Henderson shakes her head slowly. My mother sees the faces looking at her. Not with sympathy, not with confusion, with recognition. They know what she did. Jenna's venue change message was clear. Due to unforeseen vendor cancellations by a family member, the wedding location has been moved. Everyone knows who that family member is. Then my mother sees the camera. Maggie Coulter and her cameramen have moved toward the gate. Not aggressively, just doing their job. The red light is on. My mother freezes. The tears, the ones she can summon on command, stop. She looks at the lens the way a deer looks at headlights for one long moment. So she stands there, the mask cracking. Not the grieving mother, not the protective parent. Just a woman in a navy dress who bet everything on control and lost. She turns around, walks to her car, opens the door, gets in, drives away. She doesn't look back. Inside the garden, I'm dancing. Connor leads me through a clumsy two-step. On the grass, while Caleb plays guitar and the fairy lights turn on as the sun dips. I don't know my mother came. I don't know she left. Jenna stands near the dessert table watching the gate. She sees the silver sedan disappear down the gravel road. She picks up her glass of sweet tea, takes a sip, and walks back to the dance floor. No triumph, no gloating, just peace. She came, Jenna tells me days later. She left. You didn't miss anything. The rest of the evening is the kind of ordinary I've been starving for. Paper plates loaded with pulled pork, sweet tea refilled 3 times. Connor's 7-year-old nephew, little Brady, chasing fireflies across the lawn while his grandmother yells at him to watch the flower beds. We cut the cake, 2 tiers, buttercream frosting, a small cluster of wildflowers on top. I made the topper myself, 2 tiny wooden figures Connor carved last month. He thought I didn't notice the wood shavings on his workbench. I noticed. Gloria stands up to speak. She's not a woman who enjoys public attention, so when she clears her throat and the garden goes quiet, it means something. I'm not a speech person, she says. But I want to say this. Welcome to the family, Lila. For real this time. A few people laugh. A few people cry. I do both. Uncle Tom goes next. He holds his glass steady, but his voice wavers. My brother always said Lila would find her way. He pauses, swallows. He was right. The applause is gentle, not a roar, just a warm, even sound like rain on a porch roof. So I sit at the long wooden table. 1. Connor built for a client last year but decided to keep, and I look around, 1D7. People eating barbecue in a garden full of wildflowers under fairy lights in a small Georgia town. Nobody is performing. Nobody is managing appearances. Nobody is watching to see if I'll crack. For the first time in my life, a celebration isn't being held hostage. Jenna catches my eye from across the table. She raises her mason jar. I raise mine, but we don't say anything. We don't need to. That was the first celebration of my life that wasn't stolen from me. Later that night, after the last guest has gone, and the fairy lights are still blinking softly in the empty garden, Connor and I sit on the porch steps at our house. My shoes are off, his tie is loose. The night air smells like jasmine and leftover smoke. There's something I need to show you, he says. He pulls out his phone and opens an audio file. Dated 6 days ago, 10:47 p.m. I didn't play this for you before because you were already breaking. He presses play. My mother's voice fills the dark porch. She had a breakdown in college. Did she tell you the full story? I listen. She can't handle stress. She'll fall apart. I keep listening. Walk away now. Save yourself. The recording ends. The cicadas take over. I sit with it. My mother's voice. The one that sang me to sleep. The one that read me stories. The one that told me I was too fragile, too broken, too damaged for anyone to love. Hanging in the warm night air. I'm not damaged, I say. I never was. Connor doesn't argue. He just waits. I want to send this to Maggie Coulter. He looks at me. Are you sure? My mother put it on Facebook first. She told 800 people I was mentally ill. She told the whole town my marriage was a mistake. I fold my hands. I'm not putting her on blast. I'm just letting people hear her real voice. Okay. And the vendor cancellations, the emails, the voicemails where she pretended to be me. Jenna has all of those. Connor nods. This isn't revenge, I say, as much to myself as to him. This is just the truth, without her editing it. He puts his arm around me. The porch light flickers. Somewhere down the road, a dog barks twice and stops. I'm not doing this to hurt her. I am doing this so she can never rewrite the story. Footage of the garden, the wildflowers, the fairy lights, Connor and me dancing. She interviews Jenna, who says simply, when someone you love is in trouble, you don't wait for permission to help. She doesn't need to name Marlene. But in a town of 4,000, subtraction is identification. If the mother of the bride isn't in the wedding footage, and a family member did the sabotage, everyone does the math. Within 3 days, I hear the ripples. Marlene's post, the one, about medical advice and gets screenshot and shared across half the town before she can delete it. By the time she does, it's too late. People are placing it side by side with Maggie's report. At the Willow Creek Women's Auxiliary, where Marlene has held a board seat for 6 years, they send her a polite email. We think it's best if you take a leave of absence while things settle down. At Patty's hair salon, Patty herself tells Marlene during her appointment, Marlene, I heard what happened. I think you should talk to someone, a professional. Neighbors stop waving from their driveways. Invitations to Sunday potluck stop arriving. The phone calls taper off. Guess my mother's currency in Willow Creek was always reputation. The devoted widow, the sacrificing mother, the woman who held it all together. That currency is now worthless. A woman on the town's Facebook group writes, what everyone is thinking. I always thought Marlene was a devoted mother. Turns out devoted and controlling looked the same from the outside. I hear about the next part from Uncle Tom. who checks on my mother because despite everything, she's still his late brother's wife. And Tom is the kind of man who doesn't abandon people, even when they've earned it. Marlene calls him on a Wednesday night, 2 weeks after the wedding. She's crying. They turned my daughter against me. Tom doesn't sugarcoat it. Nobody turned her, Marlene. You pushed her. She's my child. I have a right. You have a right to love her. You don't have a right to own her. She hangs up on him, calls back 20 minutes later, calmer, trying a different angle. That Jenna manipulated the whole thing. She poisoned Lila against me. Jenna saved a wedding you tried to destroy. Silence. Tom tells me she calls a few of her old friends from the women's auxiliary. She tells them she's been pushed out by her daughter and her daughter's controlling best friend. The narrative is familiar. Marlene the victim, Marlene the misunderstood martyr. But this time nobody buys it. Everyone saw the Facebook post. Everyone watched Maggie's report. She needs help. Real help, not sympathy. Tom drives by Marlene's house one evening and sees the lights on in the kitchen. Through the window, she's sitting alone at the table looking at an old photo album. Her wedding album. Her and my father. Young, smiling, unbroken. He tells me this carefully, like he's not sure I want to hear it. I listen. I hope she gets help, I say. I mean it. Not because I've forgiven her, but because I know what it looks like when someone is drowning and too proud to call for a life vest. I tell Tom, if she agrees to see a therapist, I'll go to 1 session of family counseling with her. 1. That's my offer. It's not forgiveness. It's a condition. And it's the most generous thing I can give right now. The money sorts itself out, mostly. Connor and I contact the original vendors, the ones my mother canceled by impersonating me. We bring the receipts, the emails where Marlene signed as Lila Bennett, the voicemails where she used my name. The florist and the caterer both review the evidence and agree. We didn't authorize the cancellation. Dawn at Magnolia Florals refunds. $2,200, the caterer returns. $4,800, that's $7,000 back. Not everything, but enough to breathe. The venue, Willow Creek Community Pavilion, has a stricter policy. No refund past 30 days. But the manager, after hearing the story and seeing the voicemails, offers a credit toward a future event. Connor says, we'll use it for a first anniversary party. I laugh for the first time in a while. We pay Jenna back the $6,500 within 2 months. She resists. Consider it a wedding gift, she says. I wire it anyway. Some debts aren't about money, they're about respect. And something unexpected comes from the wedding itself. 3 guests who saw the hand-built chairs and tables Connor made for the reception reach out to him the following week. Custom furniture orders, a dining set for the Hendersons, a rocking chair for old Mrs. Freeman, a bookshelf for Maggie Coulter's producer. Connor's workshop, which had been struggling for steady clients, suddenly has a 3-month wait list. I don't file charges against my mother. I don't sue for damages. I consider it briefly, but I'm a 30-year-old teacher in a small town. And she's my mother. The legal system isn't built for this kind of wound, but I keep everything, every voicemail, every email, every screenshot, filed neatly in a folder Jenna labeled just in case. We didn't get rich. We didn't get even. We just got free, the comments. I'd really love to hear your story. Now let me tell you how this ends. 6 months after the wedding, I come home from school on a Tuesday afternoon. There's a piece of mail on the porch, not in the mailbox. On the porch, hand-delivered. A cream-colored envelope with no return address. My name written in handwriting I'd recognize in the dark. As I open it, standing in the doorway. No letter inside, no words. Just a single pressed wildflower. A black-eyed Susan, flattened and dried between 2 sheets of wax paper. I hold it for a long time. A wildflower. The flower I chose for my wedding. The flower my mother replaced with white roses. The flower Jenna brought back. I don't know if it's an apology. I don't know if it's a goodbye. I don't know if she pressed it from her own garden or bought it somewhere or picked it from the roadside. Ditch out on Route 12 where black-eyed Susans grow wild every summer. I don't call her. I'm not ready. Maybe she's not ready either. I carry the flower inside and place it on the bookshelf, leaning against our wedding photo, Connor and me under the live oaks. Fairy lights in the background, wildflowers everywhere. My mother didn't say anything, and maybe that's the kindest thing she's done in years. Connor comes in from the workshop, sawdust on his forearms. He sees me standing at the bookshelf. You okay? Yeah, I turn around. I'm good. Through the kitchen window, the late afternoon sun pours across the backyard. I can hear the rhythm of Connor's table saw starting up again. The neighbor's dog barking, a mockingbird somewhere in the pecan tree. My name is Lila Bennett Cole. I'm 31 now, and for the first time, my life is mine. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. If this story touched something in you, please hit like and subscribe. Not because I asked, but because you want to hear more stories like this one. Down in the description, I've linked another story I think you'll connect with, about a woman whose in-laws shut her out for 5 years until one. Thanksgiving dinner changed everything. It's a good one, and wherever you are right now, whatever your version of Willow Creek looks like, I hope you find your Elmwood garden. See you in the next one.